You know, it's a real good thing to have during the chaos of the holiday season. Something calming, relaxed, cozy. During the holiday season, I watched Hilda season 3. Watched this one with my kiddo, who I have watched all of Hilda with. And this was like just sinking into a warm bath. I love these characters. I adore this world. And this actually has some of the stronger storytelling chops of the show, I think. And that's not to knock any of the other stories, but this one felt a bit more focused. I'd say probably the most focused thing other than the movie. So, and also, this was kind of a relief because I found Hilda season 2 made a lot of references to events and characters from the first season to the point that by the time the second season came out, I didn't remember all of them and I felt a little lost. While this has a couple of callbacks, it's of stuff that you are far more likely to have remembered. And so this doesn't require the catch up. Although, if you feel like rewatching first two seasons of the movie of Hilda, by all means, it's good stuff. This this was just nice. And it's nice while actually having higher stakes. Here's the funny thing about this show. It's warm, it's cozy. I feel just nice and relaxed, but it's not low stakes. It's not something with no sense of danger. It has that. Actually, it has possibly the strongest sense of danger this show has had. There is some like almost Gravity Falls esque, like, wait a minute, what the hell is that? Kind of moments in this. And especially if you know anything about fairy stories, there's just little moments where you're like, oh, crap. And I like the bits of folklore and mythology that this pulls in and integrates. And we have a new character in the form of Astrid, voiced by Miriam Margolyes, who's wonderful. And I mean, I like her in general. I love her voice. So she's a very welcome addition. All the existing characters are great. It is funny that they had to age everybody up basically to accommodate David, and the fact that the voice actor for David has very clearly gone through puberty, and so he's got to be a little bit taller, and so everyone else is aged up a little, and him they had to do the most visibly. It's a little bit like what they had to do with Gus in Owl House, but they're there, and all the characters that I love get a look in, whether it's only in one episode or not. Can I just mention again how much I love the Woodman? I- He's such a jerk. He's such a jerk, and I love him. It's I I'm at a point where like my tolerance for jackass characters is kind of at an all-time low. I think I've dealt with too many jackasses in my day-to-day life, but I love it. Like I wouldn't want to hang out with him, but God, I love him so much. He's such a just unpleasant, like, pleasantly unpleasant. Like he's not cruel. He's just like he'll just say something. And you're like, wow, you're such a jerk. Oh, but there's that, and there's the warm, inviting visual style that I've come to really adore with Hilda, and there is that sense of there isn't necessarily danger out in the world, that at least not in the sense of being malevolent, but there's stuff out there that we don't understand and we need to be careful with. That having been said, it does actually lean in the direction of some actively dangerous stuff towards the tail end. There's also, I'm going to avoid spoilers. This is recent enough, I think, that I want to avoid them. There's some stuff on the tail end that I think it's not. I think because of the laid back and relaxed energy that Hilda brings, it doesn't bother me as much as it often does, but it still bothers me a little. There's this unnecessary additional backstory and sort of buoying up of mystery and like, oh, and here's this secret thing from this person's past. And I'm like, did we did we need that? Like that character was working perfectly fine the way they were. I don't know if they actually benefit from all this mystery that you're adding in. And even if I were to take it seriously, the mystery itself just feels a little bit contrived, and it kind of does it's the Star Wars problem of making the world seem smaller because these big things somehow keep revolving around this small group of people, and now you've made one of them even more tied into this stuff. Did we need that? And so I'm not going to say that I love it, but I think just because of how relaxed Hilda is, and it's not, I was going to say it's not asking me to take it seriously, but that implies that it's like, oh, it's just kind of goofy fun. It's not, but it is just laid back enough that it doesn't seem to think this stuff is necessarily, of dire importance. And I think that helps me be more okay with it than I might have been otherwise. I still don't love it. I think if I was the script supervisor, or I was brought in to edit the scripts, that would be my big note. Do we need this? Do we need this? I like the story aspect, the raw story and events. Okay, this connection that you've made to this character's past, what does that add? What do we actually gain from that? And I'm not sure it's much, but then again, I'm also somebody who doesn't get as into just massive revelations about characters that don't seem to actually have all that much impact on the story. It's just a thing to be a thing. Some people really get a kick out of that. I tend to not. So it's fine. But it's just a general thing that I don't like so much. And it is here, but again, it bothers me way less than I'm used to these sorts of things bothering me. So I'll take it in that case. It does appear that this is actually the end for Hilda, which is odd because I would have sworn that the movie was the end. Because the movie really felt like a finale. Because the movie wrapped up what was going on in Trollberg. What is there left to do? Go to a different town and deal with the weird stuff there. Obviously. Should have figured that out on my own. But as basic a solution as that is, to have more stories for these characters to have and more adventures, that's shockingly effective. Just put them somewhere else. Yeah, that's enough. And there's some fun weirdness in this, as there always is with Hilda. There's some interesting stuff done with giants. There's a mermaid one that one's fun, and it's got a lot of energy. And yeah, the way the woodman is used, that one made me quite happy. And I'm gonna miss having new episodes of this show. But I also don't necessarily think it would have benefited it to keep going indefinitely. I think at a certain point, you risk losing the sense of, well, there's definitely more out there. It's that notion of leaving people wanting more. And not just in the sense of I enjoy this, but in something like this, leave them still thinking, oh, there's so much more out there, so much more wondrous stuff out in the world. You don't want it to go on so long that things start to feel repetitive, or is didn't we already do this? Because then it starts to feel like, oh, I guess they have experienced all the weirdness. No. Leave some. And the last episode and the way it wrapped up does a real good job of just leaving you warm. They also did, I am going to bring this up. This is actually not as big a spoiler as you'd think it would be. But we meet Hilda's dad, and there's some things that I like about him. Normally, my thing with this is did we need the parent who wasn't present? Because obviously the story was functioning fine without him. Why do we need him now? I'm not going to say he was necessarily required, but he was put in with a thoughtfulness I'm not used to seeing absent parents suddenly showing up being done. There was the sense of realness to, the reasons why he's not regularly a part of Hilda's life, but that he clearly cares and he's trying, but guy's not really good at this, clearly. But there's just a sweetness and an honesty to not only his depiction, but like how things pan out and where he fits in by the end that I just really appreciated. And I can't really go into more detail to that without talking about some of the literal very last stuff that shows up. And even though it's not like massive plot revelations, that does feel spoilery to talk about. But I will just say that the way the last episode ends and the images we get of the various characters all felt lovely and nice and warm and made me happy. And that's Hilda in a nutshell. It makes me happy. Hilda Season 3. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever your thoughts are, drop something down in the comments. Let's talk about it. I need to go back and rewatch the series. I would have asked, like, what was your favorite season? Except it's been long enough since I've seen the first 2 seasons that I don't trust my memories. I think I'm inclined to say I like the first season best. Between the second and this, though, I don't know. It's tough. The movie's also quite good. Honestly, it almost feels like against the spirit of the thing to like try and rank them. Like, I just want to give the whole show a warm hug and leave it at that. It's like trying to pick your favorite child. No, I love you all. But Patreon is how I pay the bills. And even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe are also of assistance on here. But don't worry too much about it. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. Time for me to thank my highest supporting patrons. Robin Moore, Zubin Lutfula, Goddess Elida, Oliver B, Tarak, The Thing That Goes Doink in the Anime, Ruth, Goes with the Gazarian, Solitary Pictures, Ulrich Bogdan, Geek Filter, Melinda Walters, Toku BL Hubian, Jen, Auntie Kate 808, Becky Sparks, Renabi Likes the Poodle, Robin Powell, T Love, Tracy Scrappett, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Quite Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Pao Barabajagal, I'm sorry for whatever butchery I did to that, and Mira G. I know I've kind of done like funky stuff saying them the last few times. I had this whole idea where I was gonna like sing them to the tune of Carol of the Bells, but then I realized it's gonna like clash with my outro music, and I didn't really want to rework that or just cut the outro music out altogether. That felt weird, so I just didn't do a thing this time. But now I've told you that I didn't do a thing, so I've made a thing about there being no thing. Okay. Thanks for sticking around. Bye.